Hello, Lisa here, Interdimensional 5D. If you go to sleep at night and you feel like you've done something, more than likely you have. We consider this that you work for the army of the Lord or you're working for the army of the bad guys. Either way, I'm speaking to you. These theorems of mine are based on Dolores Cannon's work, reading the Bible, and my own personal experiences. Add on top of that I do kind of watch and study ancient alien theory, which, is really wonderful. You guys who've brought that out to the public, I think it's amazing, your work. Um, there are people my age who have thought those thoughts before they became public, and it's nice to see people elevating and thinking about stuff differently. Um, I want to thank everybody who watches me. This has been my journey, my journal. I started as Mystic Traveler 3411. When I did those videos, I was very much in fear for my life. There is a big trial going on. It has to do with money and other stuff. It's people involved in all over the United States and in other countries. My sister's involved, and I have to say this. This gives me great joy to do this. What they tell me, I don't know if this is true. My spirit team tells me as soon as I upload these videos, people in court and trial watch them because I don't have my civil liberties basically have been taken away from me by my siblings. My sister's name is Mary Ann Campo. She can't believe I'm her sister. She's left handed, and we sat next to each other at the dinner table, and she would always knock me in the head or arm whilst we were eating when we sat at the big dining room table. She's a foul, violent, evil person, and I'm not like her, okay? She has control of my trust fund, has had control of it for over 60 some fucking years. And I've been left destitute. But the trust fund is in my name. So you go figure that out. Please go to jail. Do not ask me to have sympathy for you. She cut my earlobe in half when I was about 5 or 6 years old because I wouldn't sit still. She thought herself a hairdresser. She has no real claim. I gave her my Adobe Photoshop password, and she professes to be an artist, and she's not. She didn't go to the art and design. I did. And I have to wonder if she's stolen all of my identity because a big box of my personal artwork was stolen out of my home in Shawnee. Now, I've given enough personal information to say, I'm your fucking sister, bitch, and the money is mine. And I can only say I apologize to everybody who doesn't like the way I speak, but this is who I am. All right? I'm kind of I am me. And I think everybody should have a right to be who they are. Um, I'm not a political person, and the fact that I even talk about politics stuns myself. But I try to come out here and listen to what Spirit says. And so, as I do that, I want to say thank you. Um, I Be Knowing Tarot, Mami Wata, and Chosen 144, both of you guys mentioned the group 177, which just floors me. Now, these are two people from different parts of the world. The one guy is Australian, and I don't know where Mami Wata hails from, but she's here in America. Thank you for your abilities. Now, also, I'd like to thank there's a musician out there, Sheldon King, and what's that other guy's name? Sheldon King, I think, plays the piano. It's lovely when artists get out and do stuff and just Sheldon King and James Quinn. James Quinn does the piano. Sheldon King, I think, plays the guitar. And if you haven't ever heard them, you should look them up on YouTube. They make some of the most beautiful, relaxing music you could ever listen to. Thank you guys for being part of YouTube and making yourself accessible. It's lovely. And of course, there's always Meditative Mind. He does beautiful sound work. So if you're into your sonic resonancing, that's a great channel to go to. He lists the hertz, and he does various meditative sound based on the hertz and the vibrations. I have one of these days I'll put out all the sound channels there are. There are channels that just do flat colors and sound. And that's really how I attuned my sonic resonancing. Once you understand that what you think is tinnitus, now please, you might actually have tinnitus. People who do music and listen to sound, the headphones very loud, or work in the restaurant industry, tinnitus is a very real thing. But those of us who have never done that sort of stuff, you're actually tuning in to stuff. And when you're around running water, know that you can hear voices and statements in the sound, in the spaces in between. Now, for those of you who are affected by witchcraft, if you hear the word see, somebody's trying to see into your world. Okay? Because that's what magic is. It's just using words. I always go block C, reverse C. So if you hear the word see, somebody's trying to look into your life. Now, thank you all for watching me and listening to me. I speak to a very selective group. People who know they work in the dream time. And a lot of people do. This is how creative artists meet up sometimes. And somebody said I could say their actual name, but I've never met the person. I don't have a text or an email or even a phone call from this person. But I've met up with somebody who I've kind of written a story on, Victor Radcliffe's 5D wife. I am headlong in love with Victor, okay? And it doesn't matter to me if I ever meet him, although I'd love to. There will never be another man for me in my life. Now, I want to talk about words, because words are important. I have the card, and it comes up in a boom boom reading, which I'll go ahead and give this boom boom message since I'm using this card. In Ohio and Tennessee, these two states, people have been listening, okay? There's people about ready to get indicted in these two states that are part of this fucking debacle, and words are life or death. So your words are your words. Okay, so words are life or death. Now I want to tell a story, how words got misconstrued in my life. Because Spirit asked me this morning, and I'll read the card to you, through the Pegasus Oracle, have you learned everything you need to learn from this lesson? So those of us who go through trials and tribulations, especially if we've been through the witchcraft paradigm, it's very difficult. It's hard to discern. It's hard to know if you're crazy or if it's them. They gaslight. They do really sinister things to people. So we're almost on the brink of coming out of this BS, okay? And there's so many people involved in this story. That's what's made it so lengthy. And to all you judges and jurors and legal people, I feel sorry for you all, because this has been a real shit show. But anyway, words. Let's talk about this. Practical. How Miss Lisa fucked up words in her life. Because I'll blurt stuff out sometimes and not think of the consequences of it. So when I started my job at Chick-fil-A, you have to realize I haven't worked in a long time. I took care of the home. I paid half of the mortgage in Shawnee. I worked in terms of keeping the house clean, which they used to make fun of me, washing my floors on the hands and knees, not too unlike Arnold Schwarzenegger's mother that they showed on Netflix. That's what she did. And then they make fun of me because they put CCTV cameras in people's homes, people who they think are poor, who will never stand up to them, okay? And we're talking about rich son of a bitch elitists that you guys will go to rock concerts and pay a lot of money for. Or you pay a lot of money now when you go to the movies for the fucking popcorn. So these people are getting paid. Okay, and then they sit there and they cackle and they practice witchcraft on regular people. Well, I hadn't worked for a real long time. That Chick-fil-A job was the first job I had in 6 years. So I was excited. I enjoy people, a lot of young people there, and I didn't think about it. We sat around a table, a bunch of older women and myself, and they said, I said, well, I'm divorced now. I don't like being divorced, but I'm going to look for a rich young man. And in my mind, because I already hooked up with Victor, I'm thinking, Victor, I'm 68. To me, a young man is 50, 60, 62. But we had a whole store full of young people. So some bitch, this stupid fat bitch named Donna, misconstrued that. And then I was a dishwasher, and there was this man there, Mr. Roberts was his name, lovely gentleman, white guy, older, and he was gay. And I said, oh, I love Mr. Roberts, he's such a nice guy. And she went and told Mr. Roberts that I had the hots for him. And she comes back and says, he's gay. I said, so? I can still like him. And this woman was so in the paradigm of wanting to be fucked, I guess, that's all she thought anybody else was interested. So when you speak your words, you have to think about the context of that person. Now I never thought on those terms before, that before I speak, I should think about who I'm speaking to and what's their elevation level, okay? So don't give out personal information to people who are on a lower level paradigm, because they will misconstrue everything. Like this morning, okay? And this is where I have a caution for tarot readers, God has told me to always pray before doing divination, because when we approach those higher elevations, there are people out there who watch and listen. There's tons of people who can astral project, remote view, get in, and have their energy attachments on you and misconstrue your words. Know this to be true. Because this morning I did a reading, and this is funny because this is going to come out in the trial, over a singer, a popular singer, young woman they called Letitia in this group. All right, she looks part black, part white. She's like a mix, but very famous woman got involved in this BS because somebody whose name rhymes with brusque paid her to. Okay. And the last I heard that she was non-responsive to something. So we got drugs going on and they get all fucking wiped out. The spirit tells me she's gay, but she was going to put a play on Victor. Or Brusque paid her to play on Victor, to say something about Victor, so he's tied up yet again and we can't meet. But something happened. Just imagine that. Anyway, that's how spirit works. That's how people who are elevated, especially negator people from the 177, they'll come in and try to fuck your life up if they think you know anything. Or if they think you think, you're not allowed to think. Okay? So there's my example on how words can be misconstrued. I had no intention. I am not a pedophile. I would never have sex with a 21-year-old. That, to me, that's like, I'm sorry, I'm not that kind of a person. But Mr. Brusque is, okay? And that's why he wants to be in the entertainment industry, is to fondle young girls and maybe even unalive them. I don't know if that's his thing or not, but there it is. Anyway, I had a dream this morning with the color white, and I'm going to read to you Symbology. I had a dream about the color white and white razors. So I'm going to share the Symbology. As we work in the dream time, know that Symbology is important, especially when you have dreams. Now, of course, I don't have reading glasses right here. You would think I'd have it all set up. I'll be right back. Anyway, I woke up with a really feeling good. The razor sharp sword, or the razor, is the word of God, a quickened word, Rima, that the Holy Spirit places in your heart like a spiritual dagger. Spiritually, a razor blade symbolizes cutting away old patterns to make way for new growth, the power of precision decision making, and a challenging razor's edge path that requires careful navigation. It can represent both the destructive and creative forces of change, divine judgment, and the need for sharp discernment in life. So, something's about ready to change in Miss Lisa's life here. Shedding the old. A razor blade can represent the necessary act of cutting away old habits, beliefs, or relationships that no longer serve. Intense transformation. It can symbolize a period of intense spiritual or personal transformation leading to a new, clearer path. Now, I'm looking forward to that, boy. I gotta tell you. Let's see, what else? And the color white. Let's read about the color white. Let's go back to the other one. It was better. The white color in a spiritual message represents purity, innocence, peace, and a new beginning. It signifies a clean slate, spiritual enlightenment, and a connection to divine or angelic energy. Seeing white can also be a sign of spiritual awakening, a need for inner cleansing, or a message to approach situations with openness and truth. Openness and truth, always the best policy for living life in general. So I'm looking forward to, I'm about ready to depart. I depart very soon here, and I'm excited. I woke up with a feeling of excitement, energized. I actually slept enough to have a dream, which rarely happens to me anymore, since most of the time in the dream time I'm up there working. Now, I mentioned Victor. I am terribly in love with Victor. If I just were to live a life of just being solidly alone, connecting with Victor in the dream time has been very, very rewarding for me. And I think it has been for him too. He tells me that I have helped him get through some difficult situations, and he most certainly has helped me remain steady. What's interesting about the quantum reality? Now, I want to talk about that. Now, when Victor attaches to me quantumly, I do not need anxiety medicine. And he frightens me because my ex-husband was warlock, and he was putting me asleep mentally, all with drugs, to do heinous criminal things to me and human traffic me, and he did revenge porn on me. And he thinks I don't know about any of this. My body physically shows the some of the heinous things were done. I'm very fortunate that I heal very well, and I have an angelic team that help me. Um, so it scares me to meet another warlock, and Victor is very powerful. However, Victor is a very good person. He's got a good heart, or I don't think he'd be able to be associated with me the way he does. And when Victor puts me to sleep, I sleep like a baby. And I hope someday, I can't wait to meet him and we talk about that, because I would really like to snuggle with him. My ex wasn't a snuggler, neither one of them. But you make love as a decision. It's a choice. So you put up with things, right? Anyway, I look forward to meeting you, Victor. I hope it's coming really soon. Now, I pulled cards this morning about the situation in the court trial. And so I'm going to go through the reading. I had a false reading that Mr. Brusque decided to tell me that Victor was never going to meet me because Victor was worried about what the world would think, that he's unbalanced for meeting me. Which I think is hysterical, because I make Victor laugh. We talk about stuff like I created a card that says what is it? The cloak of, you've been something about the cloak of levitation. You've been stripped of the cloak of levitation because of crimes against humanity, which basically, if I were to pull that for you, means you don't have any protection anymore. Okay, that's what that card means. But he laughs because he's like, of all the things to make a card about, but hey, you got to put it in your own way. Anyway, moving forward, the Queen of Swords is going to have to give away Ace of Pentacles to the Nine of Cups, which is a specific person. The Nine of Cups, who holds a lot of confidence. You have to pay the Nine of Cups. Oh God, I can't wait for this. I can't wait for it to actually come out. Six of Cups, some relationship from the past. Now, in tarot, in my world here, sometimes it's not necessarily from your childhood, okay? For those of us who've reached this elevation, this Six of Cups can mean a past life relationship from the past. Think on that. A person associated with me from the past is going to be in deep regret because they tried to put me down. And then, there was cutting involved. And when I say cutting, literally, with cutting the Queen of Pentacles, or with a Queen of Pentacles. Ooh, bad decision. In the dream time, or whilst doing meditation or prayer, the decision was made by the Queen of Wands, who is a star and works along with a Knight of Wands, or did it very passionately, and once again paid for. Got to attack somebody. And I make the joke, oh, Victor's picking his nose. Let's cut Lisa. Oh, somebody got a flat tire. Let's cut Lisa. Oh, my books are overdue at the library. Let's cut Lisa. That's my joke about it. Anyway, this is what happened with this. This next line is about what happened with a young famous person, Page Pentacles, who gets out there and sings and speaks. She's very vocal. Wanted to put the Nine of Wands, tie up. Wanted to tie up the Nine of Wands, who is a person, Sagittarius, wounded warrior, from meeting her King of Pentacles. Because he's quite passionate. So that person who sings, who's way younger, has no real interest in this King of Pentacles, but was paid by Mr. Brusque to say some foul shit. Probably not too unlike a Justin Bieber bullshit, which would tie up the King of Pentacles. Not gonna happen, sister. You guys overstepped the mark. Which is interesting. Mr. Brusque is going to get called on him and what's her name, Sapphire Hangington. They're going to get indicted today. I can't wait. I'm so excited. You have no idea, people, how excited I am. Now, they told me to pull some more cards after this one in the, whatever these are called, these effing tarots. But there he is, King of Cups, hanging out. He's ready to partner and celebrate because he wants to do it before this King of Wands can share and tie him up. And he wants to tie up this King of Wands from sharing, which I find really interesting. I didn't even know the King of Wands was interested in sharing. And to that King of Wands, you know, like, hey, you've done some fucked up shit, but everybody needs to be heard, is what the cards will usually say. So don't despair. But Victor is here. I love Victor. I don't love you. I don't dislike you. You've done some heinous things to me, but nothing that can't be forgiven. But I'm in love with Victor. There is no other man for me but Victor. Okay? Even if I never meet him, Miss Lisa will be alone for the rest of her life thinking about Victor, and that's just the way it is. So this is like the Page of Wands, the Six of Cups yet again, past life, because Victor and I know each other from past life. Actually, Spirit took us through one of our 5D experiences. We have some amazing experiences out there, people. I can't even begin to express. Spirit took us through our lifetimes together on how many different people we were to each other. It was quite profound. Like, we couldn't hardly speak after that whole experience went through. Okay, it was really interesting. So, like, we've been past life lovers for a very long time. So, yeah, what's his name wanted to tie us up so that there would be regret. But there is going to be regret. There's going to be regret for the people who want to win at all costs, okay? And it's going to seem uncanny and unusual for everybody, but Spirit says it's about time for certain things in the paradigm to change, for the world to see something they haven't seen before. What one of my friends out there in 5D calls unfathomable. How could this be? and I pulled a word today. The word for today is objectivity. So, Mr. Unfathomable, look at it objectively. Now, the boom boom messages. And then we'll call it done. A divine feminine from New Jersey, which is really interesting. Jersey's come up in some of Mami Wata's messages. The divine feminine from New Jersey is being blocked from messing with the princess of fun, and they tell her to give it to God. Okay, because you're done, sister. You will not be able to mess with the princess of fun anymore. And whatever your problem is, you're probably going to be indicted today. Give it to God, because this came with, because your words are life or death. Or actually, that came with Tennessee there, Tennessee. So forgive me, but everybody, words are life or death. Now this is an interesting message. There are people in Arkansas who are going to have 3 charges or 3 indictments. The person that was involved in the Arkansas people is going to have 4 indictments. And these were the words of advice for y'all. Calm seas don't make skilled sailors. And they suggest reading Psalms 91. Or, Spirit just said, I was protected from those people because I read Psalms 91. And just so all of you people out there who are my hidden helpers, when I read Psalms 91, I always put you in my prayers for that. Okay? Know this to be true. I protect the collective in my mind. I visualize just a group of you, and I don't know who everybody is, but you're all under the wings of the Lord, as it were. And the last message of the Boom Booms is, a real high priestess is going to hook up with the divine masculine who calls himself, who thinks he's Kintsugi. he told that high priestess that he's broken. There's true love there. And they're going to have to deal with paperwork in Missouri. And it has something to do with a car. And that's that. That's the Boom Boom messages for today. Now, Pegasus Oracle. I thought this was really an interesting card I pulled. It's Pegasus and the Chimera, which I like to say Chimera. Okay, Chimera. Okay, now I'm going to read that for you. It's a nice card, and this will go for everybody today. You may believe that the greater a problem or your suffering, the greater the effort required to overcome it. Yet spiritual grace is capable of effortlessly, dissolving even the most considerable pain. Our task is not to deny our discomfort, nor to feel we have spiritually failed if we are suffering. It is to have wisdom to understand when we need to grow through experience and when it is time to let go of our pain. Only our soul can decide that. Whatever situation is causing you anxiety or stress at this time, the light-handed yet potent intervention of Spirit can heal and transform it. The question to ask yourself is whether you are ready to allow that to happen. Have you learned all you can from your distress? Are you prepared to offer it up and surrender your attachment to the suffering of the situation? There is no judgment either way, just a loving reminder that when you are ready, Spirit is here for you. And then there's like a little prayer you're supposed to say. Should I read that, Spirit? Beloved Pegasus, who brings forth the resourcefulness of Spirit, I call upon your loving intervention from the depths of my soul. You know, instead, the Lord Jesus or God, you're saying this to God. May the suffering of all beings be alleviated through loving divine wisdom and grace. May I know and act when I am truly ready to let go, with perfect trust in your loving and an immediate response of grace for the spiritual benefit of all beings. And there it is. Loving, gentle Pegasus, let go. It's time to let go and let God. And with that, after I had that dream this morning, I felt pretty alive and lightened, and my spirit felt like it had lightened a load. So I hope you feel that way too. I hope somehow these messages help somebody, since they won't take their finger off my buttons. Anyway, peace out, everybody. Remember, I think you're amazing, and I absolutely do love you. Bye now.